Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to a Tuesday edition of No Huddle Rodeo. It is a hectic time of the year, Cowboy Christmas and the Calgary Stampede. Today, we are talking about world number one Riley Webb's Cowboy Christmas, some things to watch in the bareback riding and steer wrestling races, and Calgary Pool A action. We've got it all coming to you on No Huddle Rodeo. First, as always, thank you to Runyon's Fine Furniture for everything you see behind me and our entire office in the Fort Worth Stockyards. And thank you to Justin Boots for making all of this possible. Let's get into Riley Webb, who did something that you want to do over the weekend. If you are the number one man in the world, the easiest way to make sure nobody catches you, earn more money than anybody else over Cowboy Christmas. Riley Webb did just that. He won over $32,000. He won 4 checks of over $4,000. He won the Basin City Freedom Rodeo with a 7.5 second run, won St. Paul with a 7.6 and a 7.8. His 15.4 on 2 in St. Paul is the fastest two-head time over the last 10 years. Only Haven Bedjed has also been in the 15s since 2015. And Riley, like I said, 7.6, 7.8. He was 7.5 in the Basin City Freedom Rodeo. And he's at $171,000 now. Leads Shad Mayfield by about $27,000. And he did every bit of what he needed to do because Shad was second over Cowboy Christmas. He won over $26,000. And even more crucially for Shad is he was number 3 in the Calgary Stampede Pool A tie-down roping. He advanced. He has an opportunity in Championship Sunday. So if Riley, who was 7-8 on his first one, to win a check in Pool B, but if Riley doesn't advance, a golden opportunity for Shad Mayfield there. So both of them, if you're number 1 and number 2, the easiest way to make sure no one catches you, like I said, is finish number 1 and number 2 over the course of Cowboy Christmas. Riley, as always, one calf at a time, has a game plan, took advantage, knew he needed to be 8.5 on his last one in St. Paul, did just that, and Shad was second in St. Paul. So an instance there of Riley taking the money and preventing Shad from getting a little more. And so big Cowboy Christmases for both of them. And Riley Webb, $171,000. Shad at this time last year when he broke the earnings record, $168,000. But remember, Shad went all the way down to the final day and won a boatload of money at the Governor's Cup. So we'll see. But for the 4th time in a row, that regular season earnings record could change hands between those two terrific Cowboys. Riley, of course, the 2-time reigning world champion of the tie-down. Shad, the reigning all-around champion who finished as the reserve world champion to Riley in 2024. We'll go on to the bareback riding now, where things have gotten awfully interesting in the top 5. And a lot of that has to do with world number 1, Bradlee Miller, who's got about $156,000. He didn't have much luck over Cowboy Christmas, and he had even less luck up in Calgary, where he did not advance out of Pool A, but also hurt his groin. So he's going to be out a little bit. He's been number 1 since Houston. Rocker Steiner has pushed him a little bit, gotten pretty close to him, but there's some distance between Bradlee, Rocker, and the rest of the field. Rocker over Cowboy Christmas, 1 Pinoca and Greeley. He is number 2 in the world. Quietly, Garrett Shadbolt up to number 3 in the world. He was 3rd in Oakley City, 5th in Mandan, 2nd in St. Paul. That ride in St. Paul on Land of Fancy earned him over $11,000. So Garrett Shadbolt, 3-time NFR qualifier. He is amidst the best regular season of his career. He's had some hot starts and faded a little bit down the stretch to end up 10th or 11th going into the NFR a couple of years in his career. But right now we are into July. He is number 3 in the world, and he's averaging 83.5 points. Last year, he averaged 83.4 points. That put him 3rd in the PRCA for the 2024 regular season, which I don't think a lot of people realize when you look at all of these great bareback riders, that Garrett Shadbolt was 3rd among them behind only Rocker Steiner and Keenan Hayes in average score in the regular season last year. And then right behind Garrett Shadbolt is Jess Pope, who was the Reno champion, who had 4 rides of 86 plus over Cowboy Christmas, won 4 checks of over $4,000 over Cowboy Christmas, and won 2 rodeos on top of his Reno victory. He's gone from number 7 to number 4 in the world since the beginning of the Reno rodeo. And talk about all of these guys and what to expect from them, not only in the regular season, but in the national finals as well. Jess Pope is the last guy you want to see coming within 70, 80,000 of the world number 1, because he is going to be in the mix in the average. That is a promise. He won it the first 3 years he went to the NFR. He's going to be in the mix. And so you give him an opportunity to be within $30,000, $40,000 at the end of the regular season. I mean, he might as well be number 1 in the world if that is that situation. So a big, big gulf has opened up with Bradlee Miller's. I don't know how long the absence is going to be. He didn't say. I haven't seen a report on that. Someone correct me if I'm wrong there. So I haven't seen how long he's going to be out. But even if it's a few weeks and you got these guys going up to Calgary, big opportunities for everybody behind Bradlee Miller to get right up there with him. Rocker's got a chance to blow by him there. But again, Garrett Shadbolt, Jess Pope, both riding so consistent right now. Cole Franks, who's number 6 in the world, he's been incredibly consistent as well. Dean Thompson, he's up in Calgary right now in Pool B, the reigning world champion. If he can advance to championship Sunday there, things get awfully interesting. So bareback riding, it looked like it was just going to be Bradlee and Rocker for a long, long time, but 3 or 4 guys behind him have been super consistent for the last month or 2, and that is 100% paid dividends there. Now we're going to go to Calgary, to Pool A. Just recap, not everything that happened, but some of the biggest stories out of there. We are starting with John Douch in the tie-down roping. He wins Pool A. He is in the top 5 in the world standings, and he's won Calgary before. He won Calgary in 2023. He started with 7-2 and 7-3 on his first 2 runs in Calgary. So if he has an opportunity on Championship Sunday, you know he can be right around 7 flat. He's been 6-6 there before, I think is his lowest time there. And we've seen him go 6-5 at the NFR before, or 6-6 at the NFR before. So we know he has him. If he needs to win that rodeo, he will have an opportunity to do so. He is certainly fast enough to do it. And if he were to win that rodeo, all this talk about Riley, Shad, mano y mano that it's been most of the season. Again, I'm a big part of that talk. I talk about it a lot. I find that budding rivalry very, very interesting. But John Douch, who is almost as talented as those guys, maybe equally talented to those guys, he will be right up there in the mix near that world number 1 spot, a place he has been before in his career. Also, crucially, like I said, Shad Mayfield finished 3rd there. He advances. He's lived to fight another day. 80% of the money in Calgary counts this year, and only 3 guys advance from each pool. So it's a little tighter on Championship Sunday, but also if you make it there, you can make a lot more money, because it used to be just 50% of your Championship Sunday earnings count. Now 80% across the board at that rodeo go to the PRCA World Standing. So the winner in every event is probably going to be, with their pool money and with their championship money, $60,000, $65,000. That's right around $50K toward the world standings if you were to win this thing. So that is the second highest payday you could get in pro rodeo outside of Houston for an entire rodeo. So huge opportunities there. I mentioned Cole Franks. He's been really solid. He was 90 on one of his horses in Calgary. He wins Pool A there. He's number 6 in the world. Same deal with him as John Douch. He could be right up there with Bradlee, Rocker, whomever ends up there after Calgary. But if it is Cole Franks who ends up winning this rodeo, he will be in the mix at number 2, maybe number 3 in the world, maybe even number 1 in the world if everything goes his way. Then in the saddle bronc riding, Lefty Holman, Brody Cress, and Weston Patterson all move on. They all dominate. They were essentially the top 3 every single round in some order or another. And what was interesting about that to me is all those guys in their own way could have gone the opposite direction. They were all on tilt a little bit. Lefty Holman was on the bubble. He got banged up in Calgary, got banged up at the Music City Rodeo to end May. He's just been riding through a lot this year. And so for him to win this pool in Calgary was huge. He went from, like I said, on the bubble to number 11 in the world. Brody Cress hasn't had the regular seasons we've been accustomed to him having the last 2 or 3 years, but he gets up to number 8 in the world with an opportunity to get right back into that top 5. Then Weston Patterson, who's one of the breakout stars in all of rodeo, but especially in the saddle bronc riding this year, he was in that top 5 early on in the season. He slipped to number 7 or 8 going into the summer. And we've seen that before when a guy who is younger, who comes out hot like that, they're number 5 in the world, let's say at the beginning of the summer, and they still make the NFR, but they make the NFR at number 11 or 12 because all of the other guys with a little more experience just get going and just ride a little bit better. But Weston Patterson ends up 3rd in that pool, and he wins over $14,000, $11,000 of which go to the world standings. Now he's right back there, number 5 in the world, and chugging along toward his first NFR appearance. Lastly, I want to go to Greeley for what I think is maybe the most impactful win of all of Cowboy Christmas. It's either the guy I'm going to talk about next, Tucker Allen, or Cade Saunier's walk-off win in St. Paul, which I discussed in the morning kick in my top 5 moments there. But Tucker Allen, who tied with Gavin Soilo in Greeley, he was number 1 in the world. He's been number 1 in the world since Houston, but he's had some really, really strong competition gaining on him. And that strong competition has been Jesse Brown, Will Lummus, Dakota Eldridge, Stetson Jorgensen, all guys who have been to 5 or more NFRs. And they were all gaining fast and, quite frankly, winning more money than him in May and June. All of them were. So for him to win $12,000 in Greeley and punch back a little bit and get his world standings lead back up to $23,000 over Jesse Brown, who's the world number 2, that was huge for him. But there is a but there. So the world standings right now in the steer wrestling go Allen, Brown, Lummus, Jorgensen, Eldridge. The but is Tucker Allen, like Bradlee Miller, did not advance in Calgary. So a massive opportunity. If one of those guys in the top 5 can step up and win this rodeo, which some of them have before, if they can do that, just like in the bareback riding, they might not be threatening to be number 1. We might have a new number 1 if someone outside of Tucker Allen, who's been eliminated in Calgary from the top 5, wins the Calgary Stampede steer wrestling. But a lot of it hinges on Pool B. So pay attention to the Pool B steer wrestling, because Will Lummus was 4-1 on his first one. He won a check. But Stetson Jorgensen, no time. Dakota Eldridge, no time. So those guys, it is crucial they advance, obviously to win a boatload of money, but for the opportunity to be at number 1 in the world. And for an event like the steer wrestling, when they're given $65K in Houston and $40 or $50K in Calgary, winning one of those 2 rodeos in an event where $250K, $300K can win it, if you can make a 5th or 6th of that at one rodeo, huge. Huge for your world title hopes for any of those guys. All of them, Allen, Brown, Lummus, Jorgensen, Eldridge, all of them good enough to win the world title, but none of them have won yet. And we saw J.D. Struxness win last year, and J.D. Struxness kind of similar resumes to Brown, Lummus, Jorgensen. Eldridge has been to more NFRs, but he's that type of guy. And so if you get there with an opportunity, you get there with a chance to win, all of these guys could do it, especially if they're number 1, 2, or 3 in the world. So monitor that in Calgary. We'll have more Calgary Stampede updates coming up this week. We'll recap more of Cowboy Christmas, talk some of the big winners, some of the high earners, some of these standings movers tomorrow on both the morning. Wow, I can't even say the name of my own show. On both the Morning Kick and No Huddle Rodeo. But until then, we will see you tomorrow. Thank you to Runyons. Thank you to Justin Boots. And thank you for joining us on No Huddle Rodeo. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, share this thing. That's how we grow. So if you like it, tell someone. If you like it, subscribe. If you like it, hit the like button, because we obviously would want as many subscribers as possible starting out here. And we think we're putting out a good product. And we hope you are enjoying it too and feel the same way. So we would appreciate all of the support there. Thank you for joining me on No Huddle Rodeo. Tune in. Full week of content every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. the Morning Kick and No Huddle Rodeo here on the US Cowboy YouTube. But for now, thank you for joining me on a Tuesday edition of No Huddle Rodeo.